When you think of couples in British television who radiate warmth, humility, and genuine partnership, it's impossible not to think of Ben Shephard and his wife, Annie Shephard. For decades, Ben has been a familiar, comforting presence in British homes, whether waking viewers up on GMTV or Good Morning Britain, guiding contestants through the tight squeezes of Tipping Point, or bringing heartfelt energy to This Morning. His charm has always been effortless, grounded, and deeply human. And at the center of that humanity has always been Annie. They are a couple rarely touched by scandal, rarely seen without that subtle, easy harmony that long-married couples seem to develop naturally. The kind built on understanding, quiet rituals, shared memories, and countless small moments the public never sees. But today, that image shattered. Behind the warm television smile, behind the affectionate jokes Ben makes about his family, and behind the polite facade of fame, something was brewing. Something Annie never expected to face. And according to insiders, today was the day it all surfaced. A moment that blindsided even those closest to them. A moment that left Annie in tears. A moment that for the first time in their marriage made her question everything. What happened? Why did Ben make a sudden decision that caught even his most trusted partner completely off guard? And how did a conversation that started quietly in their kitchen turn into one of the most emotional moments of their entire relationship? This is the full story. The announcement nobody saw coming. From the outside, life for Ben and Annie seemed perfectly settled. Their sons had grown into young men finding their own way. Ben had transitioned smoothly into various presenting roles, balancing television with family time in a way most presenters could only dream of. Annie had built a fulfilling life outside the spotlight, grounded, steady, protective of her family's privacy. But according to a close friend of the couple, something shifted over the past year. Something inside Ben. An itch he hadn't scratched in years, a restlessness he didn't speak of, a pull towards something he once loved but had left behind for the sake of family. It started slowly, first as nostalgia, then curiosity, and then a longing. Ben had been quietly considering a major career change, a return to a life that was intense, consuming, and far more demanding than the presenting roles audiences knew him for. He told no one. Not colleagues, not friends, not even Annie. He didn't want to worry her, didn't want to ignite conflict, didn't want to admit that a part of him, a part he thought had grown dormant, was calling him back with surprising force. And then this morning, he finally told her. And according to those familiar with the situation, Annie's reaction was immediate, emotional, and heartbreaking. The kitchen conversation. It was meant to be an ordinary morning. A cup of tea, soft radio in the background, the kind of gentle domestic calm that Annie cherished, especially now that their home was quieter without the boys' daily chaos. Ben had asked if they could talk, but he asked it in a way that instantly put her on edge, not with panic, but with a soft unease only a long-married partner can recognize. He waited until she'd sat down. He took her hand. He hesitated, and that alone was unusual. And then, slowly, almost painfully, he told her. He revealed that for months, quietly, privately, he had been in discussions about returning full-time to a high-pressure, high-profile broadcasting project abroad, a role that would mean long absences, constant travel, and a dramatic shift from the stable life they had finally created. According to the insider, the moment he said it, you could see Annie's whole face change. It was like the ground moved under her. For Annie, steady, thoughtful, deeply devoted, his words landed with the weight of a seismic shock. Why hadn't he mentioned it sooner? Why had he held it in? Why would he consider turning their quiet, balanced life upside down now of all times? Her voice trembled as she responded, something that shocked those who know her. because Annie never trembles. She had supported Ben through the chaotic hours of live television schedules, through public scrutiny, through career changes, relocations, and relentless demands. But this felt different. It wasn't a job. It wasn't a simple shift in schedule. It was a decision that would rewrite their entire lifestyle, their routines, their comforts, their future plans, everything. And she told him, tears forming, voice breaking, she told him exactly how she felt. Annie's breaking point. For those who know Annie well, her composure is legendary. She's calm under pressure, measured in conflict, rarely rattled. She has supported a partner whose career has often demanded unpredictability, pre-dawn starts, last-minute changes, public criticism, the juggling act of television life. But hearing Ben's announcement, after months of secrecy, cut deeper than he realized. Her first question wasn't, "How will this affect me?" It was, "Why didn't you trust me enough to tell me sooner?" That question alone shifted the emotional temperature in the room. She wasn't angry, she was hurt, deeply. This wasn't about a job opportunity, it was about partnership. Annie had always believed, always trusted, that no matter what happened in Ben's career, they would face every decision together, as a team, as equals. To learn he had carried this alone, quietly, secretly, that's what broke her. According to a friend, it wasn't the career change that made her cry. It was the thought that he'd been wrestling with it on his own, that he must have felt she wouldn't support him. Ben watched the tears fall, and it shattered him. He never wanted to hurt her, never wanted to blindside her, never wanted to create distance where there had only been closeness. But he also didn't realize how much the decision had consumed him, how the fear of disappointing her had caused him to hide something he should have shared from the start. What Ben said next. When he saw Annie cry, truly cry, Ben felt something shift inside himself. A realization, a reckoning. This woman, the steady anchor of his life, wasn't a footnote to his ambitions. She wasn't an obstacle. She wasn't a spectator. She was the person whose opinion mattered more than any offer, any contract, any opportunity. And so he told her everything. Every worry, every doubt, every late-night moment of uncertainty, every part of him that felt both excited and terrified. He admitted he wasn't even sure if this was the right decision. He admitted he feared saying no. He admitted he feared saying yes. He admitted that part of him missed feeling challenged, that unique rush of being at the center of a major project. But he also admitted something else. He was afraid of losing himself, afraid of stagnating, afraid of being left behind, afraid of wondering one day if he had grown too comfortable. Annie listened, through tears, through silence, through a heart pulled between love and worry. And for the first time in a long time, they were no longer entirely in sync. Not angry, not divided, just out of step. A feeling that left them both unsettled. A couple at a crossroads. The hours that followed were quiet. Ben sat at the kitchen table staring at a cold cup of tea. Annie moved through the house in soft, thoughtful silence. Both were processing, both were hurting, both were trying to untangle what it meant. For decades, their lives had been built on the unspoken agreement that family came first, that stability mattered, that fame was not worth sacrificing peace. But now, Ben felt a calling. Annie felt a threat. Two truths, both valid, both deeply human. And that's what made the moment so devastatingly real. Their love wasn't in question, their commitment wasn't in question, but the future suddenly was. What Annie feared most. To understand Annie's emotional reaction, you have to understand her history. She and Ben survived the chaotic hours of live television. They survived Ben's early fame. They survived constant cameras, gossip, long working hours, and public expectations. And when they finally found balance, when the boys grew older,
when weekends felt peaceful, when mornings felt gentle rather than rushed. She thought the hardest days were behind them. Her greatest fear was simple: losing the life they worked so hard to build. The dinners where it was just the two of them, the quiet evenings, the stability, the normality, the privacy. This new opportunity threatened all of that, not because it was bad, but because it was big, too big, and big things always come with big costs. Ben's realization. It took Ben hours to realize something crucial. He had made the mistake not in considering the job, but in trying to carry the decision alone. He thought he was protecting her from stress. He thought he was avoiding unnecessary worry. He thought he could handle it himself until he knew for sure. But marriage doesn't